All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the 10 things to do after installing WordPress. My name is Dustin Hartzer, and I'll be leading you through a little bit of this presentation today. But first, before we get started off, let's talk about who we are. Caesar and myself will introduce ourselves, just so you know who's behind the mics here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll just get rolling. So, Caesar, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and who you are and what you do?
All right. So my name is Cesar Abade, and I believe most of you should know who I am because I'm the one who advertised this on my website and on the PM for the Masses podcast. But I'm a project manager with Remon Tech, which we are a small family business here in Canada, and I'm a certified PMP professional. And I'm also a podcaster. I have two shows in iTunes. One is the Construction Industry Podcast, and the relatively new Project Management for the Masses podcast, which launched in July of 2013. And you can find me and what I do. I think the best place right now is to go to pmforthemasses.com. Dustin?
Perfect. Thank you, Caesar. And my name is Dustin. I am a website developer. I reign from Dayton, Ohio. It's amazing we can do this technology from Canada and Dayton, Ohio. I am a WordPress podcaster. So much like Caesar, I talk about, I have a podcast that goes out every week over at yourwebsiteengineer.com, and it's focused specifically on WordPress. I found that there's just so many cool things that you can do with WordPress. And so I thought, hey, this is going to be a great thing to do. So for the last 3 years, I've been teaching and helping people instruct them on how to best build a website or a blog with WordPress. And so Caesar graciously asked me if I would want to be a part of this today and kind of lead some of the instructions on what I do every time I set up a WordPress website. And so I'm like, hey, this is right up my alley. I love doing webinars. I'm excited to share this opportunity with you guys this morning. So with that, let's go ahead and look at today's game plan. We are going to talk about, first we're going to see the installation of WordPress. Caesar actually has put together a video that we're going to go ahead and watch just because we wanted to make sure that everything was seamless. We didn't want to, like sometimes when you sign up for a website, maybe it takes a 5-10 minutes for your domain to be activated and start working, things like that. We wanted to make sure that that was all cut out. So we're just giving you really great information this morning. Then I'll come back to the presentation. I'll show you the 10 things that I do after installing WordPress. And then I will actually do a live demo of those 10 things. Once we're done, we'll get some hands-on inside of WordPress itself. I've got WordPress running here on my computer, and so we'll just go ahead and we'll dive right in and we'll see those types of things. Then I'll show you at the very, very end, I will show you a website where you can find out more information about WordPress and just get some other cool free training videos. So with that, let's go ahead and go over to the video.
Hey, Dustin, just one thing. If people have questions, what should they do?
Yes, if you have got questions, go ahead. They're in the GoToMeeting widget area. There's a kind of a floating bar panel, if you will. There is an area for questions. Just you can go ahead and type those questions in, and we will be monitoring those. And we can go ahead and we'll take a look at them as the questions come up. So that's the best way to ask a question.
Very good, thank you.
Yep. And now let's go to the video.
Hello everybody, Cesar Abade here on this quick tutorial on how to set up your first, or maybe not your first, but your WordPress blog website the right way. And what I'm going to show you here in this quick video is how to get hosting for your website from a service that I recommend and a lot of people that I respect recommend. So what we're going to do today, we're going to get hosting, we're going to install WordPress, and we're going to get ready to publish your first blog post. So what you're going to do ahead of time is, number one, you're going to have to set some time aside, maybe about 10 to 20 minutes to set this up. You're going to need a credit card because you have to sign up for hosting. It's not expensive at all, but it does have some cost associated with it. And number three is you need to have a domain name chosen, one that is available, right? So in my case here, it's pmforthemasses.com. In your case, it could be your name. You get the idea. Just maybe the name of your company, something like that. So some time, a credit card, and a domain name. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to sign up for hosting, and the way to do that is you go to this service that I recommend, which is Bluehost. Okay. So if you go to pmforthemasses.com/hosting, Bluehost. It'll take you there. There you go. And the reason why Bluehost is, one of the top services that people recommend is, number one, it's really affordable, as you can see. The prices vary, but it's around $5 a month, depending on for how long you sign up for. It also it has great customer service support. So if you have any troubles, you can just call them, and they're really resourceful. They're knowledgeable and helpful. Number three is one of the three, if I'm not mistaken, hosting services that WordPress itself recommends for hosting WordPress sites. So actually, it's the top one. If you go to WordPress.com and you look around for hosting, you're going to see that Bluehost is the top one recommended by WordPress. And it has great reliability. I believe the uptime for Bluehost is 99.9%, which means that it's up 99.9% of the time. And I don't think it gets any better than that. It's really pretty solid. And anyway, it's really good. So the way that you get started, it's pretty simple. You just, as you can imagine, you go click sign up now. And then in my case here, I'm going to start with a new domain name. And in your case, it could be different. Okay, so I'm about to start a new website for a new project here. So I'm gonna take the opportunity now and set that website up with Bluehost. Okay, so my domain name here is gonna be OntarioRoadshow.com. Okay, now click next. It tells me that the domain I requested is available, which is great news. So I'm going to populate this with my information, and I'm just going to quickly pause here so you don't have to see me do that. Okay, so that's filled in. So what I'm going to do now is I don't need any of that. So you need to choose your package information. So you have a few options here. You can go for 12 months at $6.95 per month, 24 months at $5.95 per month, or 36 month, which is $4.95 per month. So depending on your level of commitment here, and the way that the Bluehost does it, it charges you up front for the period. So if you sign up for 12 months, you do the math. It's 12 times $6.95. And this is the choice that I'm gonna make right now. Okay, so I'm gonna do 12 months, $6.95. Okay, there's some other options here. I don't check any of that. And domain who is privacy. Some people might want to do that. At this time, I'm not gonna select it. And then you can enter your billing information. Okay, and again, I'm gonna pause here so you don't see what my credit card number is, but. Now you click next, and it's going to process the credit card payment. And now it's going to ask me if I want any of these special services here. I'm not going to select any of these. You can always come back to this and get it if you want. I'm just going to stick with the basic. So just click complete. And now you need to create your password for your account. Okay, so click create your password, and you can either type a password here and retype it, but the best way to do is to do a password generator, because it's going to generate a password that is really secure and unique. So I'm just going to use this one. So you just click paste. There you go. And actually, let's password generator. Let's copy this first so we don't forget it. And now we paste. Now we create. Okay, so now I'm ready to log in here. I use 1Password to manage my password, so I'm gonna save this password here so I don't forget. Ontario Road Show. So now I can just paste the password that I copied in the previous page, and I can log in. It's going to ask me again if I want to save this password or not. All right, so now I'm here logged into Bluehost, and this is the cPanel. So this is the back, the back end of Bluehost. So when you first sign into your account, you have all these things. Okay. So what you want to do now is your account is set up. What you need to do now, you need to set up WordPress onto that domain. So you click website, or if you look at the URL here, it's site builder. So you're going to build, quote unquote, a website onto that domain. Okay. So what we want is WordPress. So you click use WordPress. All right. So that takes a couple seconds, and now it gets you to this place here. Okay. So what you need to do now is you need to click start. It's a brand new install. So you just do that. Okay, now you need to select which domain you'd like to install to, and that would be on, I only have one, so it's going to be OntarioRoadshow.com. It's going to click check domain. It's going to check to see that there's no other website installed there. And I believe when you install Bluehost, it creates like a dummy website in there. So there's actually telling me that there's already a website there. So it says, I understand the continuing will overwrite the file. So yeah. Let's do that. I don't want any advanced options, and I have read the terms and conditions, so click install now. So it's preparing for installation. Should take up a couple of minutes here. All right. So it is installed, and here's the site URL, login URL. That's the username, and that's my temporary password. So I want to save that password, okay, because I'm going to need it. So what you need to do now, you need to log into the back end of your new website. But before we do that, let's look at the website, okay, OntarioRoadshow.com. Let's see what it looks like. There you go. So that's your your first WordPress website blog that is up and running at OntarioRoadshow.com. Pretty cool. It's very generic looking because we haven't created any content yet, but WordPress comes out of the box looking like this, which is not too bad actually. Used to be really plain, but now they come out of the box really pretty. So what we're going to do now, we're going to log into the backend, and I recommend you bookmark these things, right? It's OntarioRoadshow.com/WPadmin. So you click there, and it's going to ask for the username. The username is my email address there, right? So let's do that. And the password is saved to the clipboard. So we just do log in. And there you go. This is the WordPress. Let's save this password. If you don't use one password, then you won't see this. But I'm going to save this. Okay, so there you have it. So this is the dashboard of WordPress. If you haven't seen it before, that's what it looks like. And from here, you can do a number of things. You can create new posts. You can create new pages. You can change the appearance of your website. But for this tutorial here, I'm just going to show you quickly how to create a new post. Should just go add new post. And then here you enter the title. This is my first blog post. Hello world. This is my first blog post. Okay. And you can click publish. Okay. So it's publishing the first blog post. And there you go. So if you go back to OntarioRoadshow.com and you refresh, now you're gonna see your first blog post. There you go. This is my first blog post. Hello world. So that's it. Hopefully this was quick enough, and this is how you set up your first WordPress blog using Bluehost. And I forgot to mention in the beginning, this if you go to pmforthemasses.com/Bluehost, this is an affiliate link. So if you do sign up, I do get a small commission. But any of these website host services, they offer this. So the reason why I suggest Bluehost is because it is a great service. It's really affordable, and all the other reasons that I said at the beginning. But again, you don't have to use that link. But if you do use pmforthemasses.com/Bluehost, then I'll get credit for sending you to them. Okay? I hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions about this whole process, feel free to contact me at pmforthemasses.com/contact.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap that up. Thank you, Caesar, for putting that together. And this is where we're going to start learning and working through the different pieces of getting WordPress up and running. So right now, we're going to go ahead and go back to the presentation, and then I will show you some more things from the dashboard and that back end that we just took a look at. So with that, let's go on back on over to the presentation. So we're ready to go into session number one, or first thing, number one. So let's go ahead and start right there. So the very first thing is we want to update our general settings. And again, I'm going to talk through the 10 things we need to do. Then we're actually going to go and do the 10 things that I just spoke about. So the very first things we want to do is we want to go and change the site title and the tagline. Basically, we can call our website whatever we want, and then we want to have a tagline beneath it. So maybe it's PM for the masses, and then life is a project, you are the manager. That would be the tagline for the website. Next, we want to update the time zone preference. This is really important, and I saw that Caesar did not do this in his video. It standard defaults you to UTC +0, so whatever time that is, and that's going to kind of wreak some havoc within your website itself. So WordPress is very powerful, and you have the ability to go in and actually schedule posts. So if you wanted to post, if you wanted to type it out on a Friday and it go out Saturday morning, then what you would do is you would set the time zone, or you would set the setting to go out at a certain time. If your time zone preference is incorrect, then it's not going to go out at the right time. So that could be a problem. So we want to check that.
Yeah. Can I just, I don't know, for people in attendance, there was we just participated, a bunch of bloggers participated on the PM Flash blog, where we were supposed to do a blog post and release it at the same time, the same day. And for a lot of people, it didn't work out exactly because of this problem. They probably had their time zone preferences not set up properly on the blog. So a lot of people missed the opportunity to launch the blog post at the same time because of this.
Sure. Yeah, perfect. And then also in the general settings, we are going to update the permalinks. And so with WordPress right out of the box, your permalinks would look like pmforthemasses.com/?3. And that's a lot harder to send people rather than pmforthemasses.com/contact or /about, or things like that. So go ahead and I'll show you exactly how to do that as well. The next thing we want to do is we want to actually delete the default content. So when WordPress comes out of the box, it gives you a little bit of information. It gives you a hello world post. So that's like the very first post that's out there. It gives you a sample page just so you can see some text, and it helps you when you first install. There's at least something to look at when you go. So like when we looked at Caesar's site for the very first time, when he turned it on, it had that sample post in there, and it had a sample page as well. But we want to go ahead and get rid of that. We do not need that as part of our website. And then also we want to get rid of the comment by Mr. WordPress. They default add one extra comment just so you can see what the commenting system looks like. So we want to go ahead and remove that as well. So that's doing two things. It's really setting up your site so it's kind of a fresh slate. And by getting rid of these things, like spammers and hackers are searching the web for hello world posts, sample page posts, and the comments by Mr. WordPress. And so what that does is if you still have them there, then a hacker or attacker or a spam robot may think that this is a brand new site and you don't have the most robust security setups set up quite yet. So then they're going to think that, hey, we can go ahead and try to hack this page. So we want to get rid of that, and it's a kind of a twofold reason. Next, what we want to do is we actually want to remove any extra default themes or plugins. So WordPress comes out of the box, like right now as WordPress is shipping, 2013 is the current theme. They name them the year, and it's how they do it, I guess. So there, you might have 2011 or 2012, already pre-plugged into your site. You want to go ahead and we'll get rid of those, just because if you have them there, then you have to maintain them and make sure that they're always updated. It's just as easy to get rid of them. You can always re-download them if you need to later. Then there's also a plugin that comes with WordPress. It's called Hello Dolly. It is written by the founder of WordPress. It's really kind of a silly plugin, and it brings in lyrics from Hello Dolly at the top corner. And it's kind of useless, so we want to just go ahead and remove that as well. So the first three things are basically we got WordPress installed, and now we're just kind of stripping out some of the stuff and get the settings all taken care of. Next, what we want to do is we want to start adding plugins. And what a plugin is it adds extra functionality to your WordPress site. So one of the powerful things of using WordPress is there are hundreds of thousands of developers who have created hundreds of thousands of plugins that you can go and download to your site and add instant functionality without hiring a developer. So for example, if I wanted to easily back up my website, say for example, so I'm going to give you a couple examples here. There's Backup Buddy, there's BackWP Up, and there's one called WordPress Backup to Dropbox. And how these three plugins work, I mean, Backup Buddy is a premium one that you actually pay for, but the other two are completely free. I'll show you how to install the free plugins, and you can automatically just turn them on, and then you can start backing up your website very, very regularly. So this is a must. I always plug this in as the first plugin, because if you don't, then you might forget, and it could be a week down the road, 2 months down the road, and something happens to your site and you're like, oh, I probably should have a backup, and you don't have a backup set up. So it's one of those things, you set it up and then you set it and forget it, and then it's running and it's doing just making a copy of everything that's going on your website. So it's really powerful. It does some really cool things. So the first thing we're going to do is install that backup plugin. Next, what we want to do, once we're confident that our backup is working properly, we want to install a plugin called Better WP Security. And this does a very great job of locking down your WordPress installation. So it's going to take a lot of the default standard settings and it's going to change them. It's going to make it harder for a hacker or a spam robot or whatever it is, to enter into your site. You can give it the ability to lock out people if they put in a password wrong incorrectly 3 times. You can lock people out if they're not editing with a certain IP address. There's a ton of really cool things that you can do with Better WP Security, and you can set all of these. There's like 21 settings that you can go through and get set up. So it will run through some of the configuration settings. Won't go through all of them because they will take a while to go through, but I'll show you exactly what you need to do to make sure that your website is locked down. The next thing that I highly recommend doing is setting up Google Analytics. This one's going to be a little bit difficult to showcase today, but basically we want to set up a free Google Analytics account. All you need is a Gmail username and password, and that can be a Google Apps or just regular Gmail. As long as you have a Google account, you can set this thing up. You can, it basically what it does is it tracks all of the visitors when they come to your website. So it'll be able to track whether they are coming from, what they're coming from, are they clicking on a link from Facebook? Are they coming from Twitter? Are they just doing a web search? Like, what is that web search? How many people are looking at your website on a mobile device? How many, how many people are looking at it from another country? What time are people looking at it? Like, you can look at all of this data, and a lot of people are like, well, I don't want all this data. Well, and I know that sometimes you won't even want to look at it for a year or two, but it's always kind of neat to go back and look at a website that's been running with Google Analytics, say for 3 years, and just take a look and say, oh, wow, this is really kind of neat. Like, I've went from, 10 visitors a day, and then like a year later, now I'm up to 1,000 visitors per day. And then 2 or 3 years later, now you're up to 10,000 visitors a day, which is kind of a neat thing to look at. And then you can figure out, okay, if I post this, does this work well? What audience, how long are they staying on my page? Are they doing anything after they're on my page? There's tons of great tools and things that you can do with the data, but first you have to actually capture the data. And we're going to use a plugin called Google Analyticator. It's a great plugin. It gives you dashboard information, or it gives you information right on your dashboard, so you don't have to log into Google Analytics, things like that. So it's really, really cool, and I highly recommend doing that, installing that plugin as well. The next one I want to recommend is another plugin, is a commenting plugin. And there's two out there that I recommend, to either Discuss or Livefire. And basically, when WordPress comes out of the box, it is set up for a blog. So you have the ability to write a blog post, and then you can enable or disable comments on your specific posts or pages. And WordPress has a built-in user interface that gives you the ability to log in, but it doesn't. It's not quite as robust as these two other options. These options have the ability to go in and have people log in with their Facebook account or their Twitter account, or create a special Discuss or a Livefire account, and then they can comment on any blog around the world, with that same username and password and login. So it takes that barrier to commenting down a little bit. So you might have more community engagement when it comes to your podcast or your blog post or whatever type of content that you're actually creating. Another plugin that I like to install, and sorry, it sounds like I'm installing all these plugins. It is,
Hey, Dustin?
Yeah,
Sorry, just to back up. Maybe can you explain what a plugin is
yeah.
for WordPress?
Sure. And
Because I think if you it would make a lot more sense if this is the first time
Sure.
learning about WordPress.
Yeah, I think I went over a little bit at the beginning, but a plugin is just extra functionality. It's like a little package that we can install through the user interface of WordPress, and it adds functionality that normally would take a programmer tons of time to put together, or maybe you'd have to hire somebody to add this extra functionality to your website. So plugins are probably one of the big core pieces of WordPress. How they work, and it's really it's how WordPress is set up. They depend, and your experience is going to be much better when you use plugins, just because it's adding, it gives you the ability to add properly written code that most of the time that you don't have to pay for, that gives you extra functionality that makes your website do a specific thing. So I think that's kind of a good way to kind of encapsulate it. It's a small function of code that we can manually add to our sites to give it a new functionality or a new feature or things like that. So we have a backup plugin, we have security plugins, we have a Google Analytics plugin, we did a commenting plugin. So these are all specific sections of code that are standalone, and they can be installed on any WordPress site, and it just makes it very simple to add that functionality to that particular site. So the next one, the next plugin that I want to talk about is called a form plugin, and there's two of them out there: Gravity Forms or Contact Form 7. Gravity Forms is a premium one. It costs, I think, about $35 or $39 for a website, and Contact Form 7 is completely free, and you can use either one of them. But what this does is this makes it easy to add some sort of form to your website. So maybe you need a contact form, whether that be just contact me, and you want to have somebody be able to put in name, email address, website, and then a message to you. You can get that information. Maybe you have a survey that you'd like to take, or you have, personally, for my web development company, I have a Work With Us page that has a form on it. And so I ask for specific information, whether it be what's your project timeline, how much are you willing to spend, like what's your budget, a range of budget numbers. It asks, who your current website host is, what do you like about your website, what don't you like about your website, what are you looking for in a new website. So you can create these custom forms where you can send people, and then you can get the specific information that you need for any given query to your website. So that's really powerful. Gravity Forms, I like. It's very easy. It's drag and drop. In Contact Form 7, it's a little bit more manual, but you can go in and you can create a great looking form as well with Gravity Forms. So we got an SEO plugin. Of course, I will recommend SEO plugins as well. These are search engine optimization plugins. And how they work is they basically help you give specific keyword data to individual posts or pages. So the way that Google works is Google likes to say it likes to see different information on each individual page, and so we're basically putting information in the header of each one of our pages that says we're telling WordPress, or we're telling Google, hey, this is what's on this page. So if you write a post about your brand new kitten, that you might want to tag kitten and new pet, whatever that might be. And I'll show you how this works and how this plugin works. There's another one out there called All-in-One SEO plugin, and both of these do pretty much the same thing. And you can go and you can tailor each post or each page to have specific rank for specific keywords, and it's really the game. I call it a game when it comes to ranking high for search engines when it comes to WordPress. But WordPress out of the box does a great job of ranking, indexing pages, because WordPress or Google knows that if a website is updated regularly, it's going to be like they want to serve that content even higher, because they don't want to be sending out, hey, somebody searched for, Blue Mountain Coffee or, whatever. And they don't want to serve a page that was written in 1999. They want something more. They want to put the newer posts closer to the top. And they know that WordPress, since it's such an easy platform to use, easy to make, to add new blog posts, and easy to update and maintain, that most likely WordPress pages are going to be updated more regularly. So they'll kind of naturally lift them higher in the search rankings. But if we do use a WordPress or a SEO plugin, that's also going to help, and also going to kind of help elevate that rank. So when somebody searches for your name or your domain name or whatever, it might come up a little bit higher. And I'll show you how this can be used as well. And then lastly, what we want to do is we want to find and or purchase a starting theme or a framework or something along those lines. So WordPress they're really cool, and they're called themes. And so when we looked at Caesar's theme at the very beginning, that was called the 2013 theme. And that is built by the people at WordPress, and it's what your site looks like. And so we want to start with either a framework, which is kind of a more generic type starting place. We could start with a free theme, which is at wordpress.org. We can look and we can find a new theme, and we can change the entire look and feel of our site. Or we can do a premium theme, and there's places like Woo Themes and Theme Forests that we can go, and basically what you're buying is you're buying the style. You're buying, you're taking advantage of another programmer who has taken a lot of time to make a very nice looking site. They maybe have made it mobile ready. They've probably done a lot of customizations to it. They might have spent 100 hours getting this theme ready, and then you can buy it for $35 to $50 to $80, and you can save hundreds of dollars, getting a premium, or to paying for somebody to set something up, completely custom for you. And I know that Caesar has worked off themes before. I work off themes a lot because it helps to keep the price down when it comes to having a great looking theme, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, developing, something from complete scratch. And so those are what those are. The framework is basically kind of, a framework is a good starting point, and frameworks are basically there for developers to build on top of. And think of it as as kind of like the lumber in a house, or it's just like the starting point. And then a free theme is basically that. We can install a free theme. We can change the entire look of our website. I'll show you how to install a free theme in just a second. And then we'll talk about the premium themes. And those are more of a manual process. You have to buy them, download them, and then upload them to your computer. So with that, we're going to go on over to the live demo. Unless, Caesar, is there any questions before we get to this point?
There was a question about can we change the look of the site, and that's what you just covered that, and the way to do that is with themes. And just as an example, the pmforthemasses.com, which people might be familiar with, used to look just like that, and then I purchased a theme, and then I tweaked it so you would look the way that it does right now. I had already a logo designed for me. So I found a theme that would kind of match my logo and my color scheme, and then I kind of made small modifications, so with the fonts and things like that, so you would match my brand and things like that. So yeah, you can. The beauty of WordPress is that it's you can put if you install it correctly, you can install any type of skin over top of it and make it look like anything. Like, you'd be surprised at some of the websites out there that are using WordPress. You would never be able to tell, and I'm sure Dustin would have a list of examples to share with us. But yeah, it's really flexible, and you can make it look the way that you want.
Yeah, perfect. And didn't mention at the top, but another cool thing about WordPress is right now, today, in September of 2013, like WordPress is actually powering 20% of the internet. And so more than likely you've stumbled upon a WordPress site without even knowing it, but it's very, very powerful, and it's used by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. So, so that's really cool. There, we'll go ahead and get rid of this, but this is what our website looks like. I'm running this locally on my computer. It takes a little bit to set up a website to run local, but since I know what I'm doing, like I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any internet connection problems, so I wanted to run this locally. But basically, this is what the site looks like when we got first set up. I didn't have that second post like Caesar did, but basically we still have that hello world. We've got the sample page, and we have a comment in by Mr. WordPress. So that's the very first thing we want to do. Also, I want to remind you that they will be a video comment, or you will get the video of this afterwards. So I know that it's sometimes hard to take notes when I'm moving from screen to screen, but you will receive an audio or a video of this complete presentation. So that is that. So when you come into WordPress, they have a welcome to WordPress area where it will help you kind of navigate around your site if you want. So you can use this if you'd like. It basically is giving you a quick link to write your first blog post, how to add an about page, view your site, some things like that. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that off for right now. If you do install WordPress for the first time, it will show up. If you want to dismiss it, if you need it back someday, go up to the screen options and you can just check on the welcome box, and the welcome box will reappear. But basically, just a heads up on what this area is over here on the left side. So atop, we just have the dashboard. It's going to give us any information. If we have any updates, it's going to show a little a circle with some update information in there. But this first area is adding content to your site. So you're going to either add a post, which is a blog, like a blog post, and the posts are arranged in reverse chronological order. So the newest one will always appear on top. So that's how the post works. Pages is actually like a static page. So if you wanted an about page, a contact page, resources page, whatever, it's going to be standalone content, and that's easily changeable, but it normally doesn't change that often. Media is the library where all of your images and PDFs or videos or whatever you want to add to your website, they're all going to be stored there in the media. And then comments, that's going to be the area where people will leave you comments, and you'll be able to see whether you can go in and approve them or get rid of them or things like that in the comment section. Now down here underneath this bar, we've got appearance, plugins, users, tools, and settings. And appearance is going to be the area where you're going to make the outside of your site look different. I'll show you that when we get to that point. Plugins is where we can go and we can add that extra functionality with a plugin. The users, we have the ability to go in and we can make multiple changes, or we can add multiple users to our account. So if you wanted to have, give somebody else a username and password, but you don't want them to have administrator rights, you can set all of that up right within there. The tools section is overlooked a lot. There's not a lot of stuff to do in here unless you're moving a site from one place to another or things along those lines. And then lastly, we've got the settings. And the settings panel gives us the ability to do the general settings. We can display like how many blog posts are on a page. We can say what our homepage looks like, what our blog post page is. We can change the permalinks, and we can do some stuff like that. So this is where we're actually going to start. We're going to start with the updating the general settings and the permalinks. So the general settings is PM for the masses. I've changed this, and then this is the tagline. And normally the default install says just another WordPress site. I'm going to go ahead and change this to life is a project, just because. And then the rest of the stuff stays pretty much the same. You want to keep the email address here is the main admin email address. So if you have any notifications, they will all come to that email address. And then the next thing that you want to change on this page, and this is probably the most annoying feature of WordPress itself, is you want to go in and you want to change your time zone to your local time zone. So right now it's UTC +0. So that's actually 4 hours ahead of where I am. So if I wanted to, I could go in and I could just say -4, and then it would update the time over here once I clicked Save Changes. The problem is here in Ohio, we are on daylight savings time, and so I would have to go in 2 times a year and go ahead and change that. So I normally like to, and Dayton, Ohio is not a choice on here in this huge list of scrolling, because this is the part that I don't don't like. So we can scroll for hours trying to find our specific city. And so what I normally do is I always add mine as New York, just because New York follows the exact same time zone settings. They do daylight savings time like I do. So I set that to New York. And then the last thing is, and I'm not sure exactly what this does, but I always change this to my week starts on Sunday. And so I'll go ahead and I'll change that. Always hit the blue button to save changes or make updates. And now I can go and I can look at the time zone, and it says that UTC time is 14:43, local time is 10:43. And if you look at the clock in the upper right-hand corner, it is indeed 10:43 here. So that's all set up and that's ready to go. And then the last thing we want to do in the settings is we want to change the permalinks. So if we don't change the permalinks, if we go to the sample page, you can see here it's going to say pmforthemasses.dev /?page_ID equals 2. And it's hard to tell people like, hey, go over to pmforthemasses.dev. Like you don't want to say all of that because it's a whole mouthful, but we want to make it easy for people to navigate. And this also helps Google and their search algorithms figure out what content's on what page. So what we want to do is we just want to go and click on post name. That's all we need to do. Select this one and click save changes. And then if you go back over to your site and do a refresh, which is just hitting this button here, we refresh it. Now it changes from page ID equals 2 to sample dash page. And now at least Google, as they're crawling through, they can see, oh, well, this is sample page data. So they at least know a little bit, they've got a little bit of information about what's on this page. So that's going to kind of wrap up that first point that we talked about. Next, what we want to do is we're going to start deleting some of that default content that comes with WordPress. So remember, if we go over to our posts, we want to go ahead and just get rid of the hello world, so we can go ahead and just trash this thing. If you ever trash a post and need it back, there is a trash feature right here, and you can come back and you can restore or you can delete permanently. So since we don't need it at all, I'm just going to go ahead and delete it permanently. So that one's gone. And then the page, we'll go ahead and remove that one as well. So remember, there's a page, there's a post, and there's a comment that we want to go ahead and get rid of. I'm going to trash this one, and I will remove that as well. A lot of times in WordPress, when it comes to finding the menu item or the functionality that you need, when you hover over things, the menus appear. So if you hover over sample page, you can see that I could restore it or I could delete it permanently. And I'm just going to delete that one permanently as well. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to go to comments. And since we deleted that comment or deleted that post completely, that comment is completely gone as well. So that takes care of that. There's nothing there. And so our website is going to actually be pretty boring right now. If we go back over to pmforthemasses.dev, which is the development site, you can see that there is nothing there. There's really nothing there because we have no posts and we have no pages. And so there's really nothing to actually look at on our site, which is okay. We're just getting started. We're just getting things ready to get set up so we can really get going. Next, what we want to do, we want to remove the default plugins. So we want to go to the plugin section and we will look at what is already installed. Here's the Hello Dolly plugin, and it is just a plugin that is written by the founder of WordPress. So we can just go ahead and delete that plugin. And again, that menu item came up after I hovered over that area. So now that those default things are kind of all removed, we want to go ahead and start a backup system. We want to make sure that our website is updated and it's going to start backing up. So we can go, and I did that really quickly there, but from the plugins page or from this menu over here, we have a couple areas where we can add a new plugin. So we can say add new here, or we can do add new up here, or we could probably even, no, we can't do it up there, but there's a couple areas where you can add new stuff. So we'll go to add new plugin. And basically what we want to do is we want to search for a backup plugin. And I know the name of it, so I could easily get what I was looking for. But if we just would type in backup, this is the functionality we're looking for. We want a backup plugin, then it's going to go out there and it's going to search for all of the backup plugins that are out there. And there are a ton of these plugins. There are, I think the last time I checked, there was close to 27,000 free plugins that people can use. And what you want to look at is the rating. You know, how many star rating is it getting? You know, you want to make sure that it's being updated, and there's a lot of things to look at. But what we're going to do is we're going to do better, or it's called Back WP Up. And so I know that this is a plugin that I want to install just because I've used it a lot and I really like this one. And so we'll go ahead and install this. Basically, when I hit install, it's going out to the web, it's finding that code, and it's installing it onto my site, all with this one click. And then we have to say, yes, we want to install this plugin. So it just takes a second or so. It's going to download, it's going to unzip it, it's going to activate it, or we won't activate it itself. We actually have to turn it on. So we click activate plugin, and now we have this extra functionality. If you look over here on the left-hand side, we've got this whole nother menu item area that wasn't there before. And that is just for, like it gives us the settings and the changes that we could make when it comes to WordPress. And so I want to show you just real quickly how to add a new job. Once again, there's a couple ways to do this, but if you just add a new job, and a job is it cannot do this because of because I'm running this locally on my computer, I'm getting these warnings to make sure that there's no, I have the debug set. So this is okay to see this at the top, but we'll go ahead and add a new job here. Let's see. Oh man, we will not add a new job. Basically, I love when live demos go like this. But basically what we do is we go in and we will set up a backup, and it turns on the ability for us to how regularly to back up and what we're backing up. And so you can go and set it up to back everything up, back your entire site up, everything, back it up once a month or back it up once a week. And I recommend doing a full backup at least once a month. That way, in case anything happens, you've got all of your code, it's stored on your server, and you can easily restore it if anything were to happen and anything were to break or things like that. So Back WP Up is the first plugin that I would like to show you to install, but having some live demo issues.
Hey, Dustin?
Yeah.
I have a question from Marla. She's asking why why you selected this plugin when it only had 4 stars as a rating.
I like this one a lot because of the community that I know has worked on this, and I know a lot of people who use it, and it's just I don't know. I could have picked any of those. I could have picked, any one that had higher stars. It's just that once you find one that you like and that gets developed regularly, so this one gets changes updated quite regularly. I just know how this one works, and so it makes it easy for me to go and install this on multiple sites because I know exactly how the configuration settings work and things like that. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. The next thing what we want to do is we want to install Better WP Security. This is a plugin that's going to add, it's really going to lock down our site, and I hope that this demo goes a little bit better than the last one. But we'll add a new site, and we'll call this, this is called Better WP Security. And it basically is doing the exact same thing. We're going out to the web. We're searching for this plugin. This one has a 5-star rating, or very close to 5-star. And this one is, I know this developer. I know that he has done a fabulous job working on this plugin and getting it user-friendly for all of us. So we want to go ahead and we'll install that one as well. We'll activate that. So the process is always search for the functionality that you need. You just put that, type that in the search box, find a plugin that will kind of work. And a lot of times, if you're trying to add maybe a Facebook widget or a Twitter widget, you just type Facebook or Twitter, and then it might take 1 or 2 times until you find one that actually does what you're looking for. So all of these plugins are built by different developers, and some of them don't work exactly as you expect them to work. So the security plugin is now here. We've got the settings, and we can easily create a database backup if we want to. So if we wanted to, we could just click the create database backup, and so now it backed our entire site up. And if we want to, we can secure the site from basic attacks, or we can configure everything ourselves. When you're brand new, you're setting up your website for the first time, you can click this button and it's going to go through every setup that it needs to. But what I want to do is I want to show you what exactly it is doing. And so I'm going to go say, no, I prefer to do the manual configuration. So you can see here, it gives you a system status of 21 items that are set up these are things that it's looking for in the WordPress installation to see if it is set up securely or not. And if things are in green, that means they're good. If things are in orange, they're partially secured. And then in items in red, that means they are not secured at all and should be secured immediately. And so what we want to do is, like, we'll just start with the first one, and you can go through and manually do each one of these items to get into compliance, if you will. But I'm just going to show you one of them just so it doesn't take all day to go through each and every one of these things. So if we wanted to, we can see, we can go and do, let's see, this one right here is a pretty simple one. Your WordPress header is showing too much information to users. So spammers can see and hackers can see, okay, what version of WordPress they're using and things like that. So basically that we want to just go to the header tweaks area, and we want to just check all of these boxes. And again, if we do the main setup, you just click the one-time setup box, it's going to do all of these things for you. So basically, that one now should be serving, or is now in green, because we have locked that piece of our website down as much as possible. And so there's all of these tabs, there's all these configurations that you can go through and make sure that your website is secure. This plugin does a wonderful job of walking you through what it's doing, and so you don't have to worry about, okay, what is this doing? And it really spells out how things work and what's going on with the plugin. Next, what we want to do is install Google Analytics, and this is a thing to set up. And you can go to google.com/analytics, and on their site, it gives you the ability to log into Google Analytics. If you're logged into a Google account, you can do that right from here. If you're not, you sign up from a Google Analytics account as well. And I'm fairly confident that I have a problem with my Google account here, and it will not let me log in. But it will. Basically, when you set up a Google admin account, you sign in with your Google admin or your Google ID, and then when we install the next plugin, it just looks for that ID, and then you can tell it which site that you want to start tracking with Google Analytics. So our next plugin in this demo series is, we'll go to install, we'll add a new one, and this one is called Google Analyticator. And you can see that they drop down on my menu bar because I have searched for these many times, because these are always the ones that I install on websites. And so basically what this does is it automatically adds the necessary code that we need to our website to start tracking it regularly. So we can activate this plugin. And then what I like about this one is, from your dashboard screen, it shows, I guess it's not there yet. We need to turn on the Google Analytics settings. If you have a Google Analytics account, you can authorize your WordPress account with your Google Analytics account, and then you can copy and paste this information into this box. And that's authenticating your site, and then it gives you the ability, right now it's disabled, but we can enable this, and then I can pick any one of the websites that I have running on my Google Analytics account to start tracking that. So we'll just say, we'll look at Business Online Podcast is fine, and then I can change all of these settings, whether I want to track people that are logged into my site, people that are coming from a certain IP address, all these different changes you can track. And Google, I think that it's very complex. Google Analyticator does a great job with it, but I just recommend the standard settings once you get kind of set up. So now that we've got it enabled and it's pulling the ID from Business Online Podcast, we can go to our dashboard and we can actually see our Google Analyticator summary. And so this is for a website that I run that no longer uses, and you can see a few days ago I had one visitor to my site. Just a handful of times. Saturday there was one person that visited, and I can see that where they came from, what page they looked at. I can see what their I can see what searches they were doing online, where they were coming from. All of this stuff is now built right into your WordPress site, which is really powerful. So you don't have to go and log into Google Analytics and figure out, okay, what's, how to use their interface. This gives you the basic information, and you can look at the past 30 days, past 60 days, or the things that were happening on your website yesterday. So really powerful, really, really cool things that you can do with that. Next, I won't actually install a commenting plugin, but I will show you what it looks like when you do have the WordPress comment system on there. It's very simple. There's really not a lot of point to go in and show you how to install the plugin. But if you say this is a test post, and then I've got a little bit of generic content that I can fill in here real quick. And once we are on this page, we can open up we can do a view post. And since I'm logged in already, it gives me the ability to add a comment. So I can add a comment just like so. and I can leave a comment, and it automatically is formatted based on the theme itself. If I was using a third-party plugin like a Discuss or a Livefire, like we talked about earlier, it would give us a little bit different interface. And just as an example, I believe if you go to pmforthemasses.com, I think that Caesar is using a special plugin. Am I correct? Are you using Discuss for your plugin?
I'm using Livefire.
Livefire, okay. So we can go and we can take a look, and this is what Livefire looks like. So people can log in, they can automatically post to Twitter or Facebook, and then you can see who's listening. So this means people have commented below or they're on the page. Another cool thing with Livefire is it automatically updates. So if somebody was to add a new comment while I'm on this page, it's automatically going to show up. So that's one of the benefits of Livefire. With WordPress comments, you don't have that ability, and so I don't want to. I mean, there's benefits of using one versus the other, but right out of the box, WordPress will have comments built in. So we'll skip that one for the time. Next, I want to show you how to easily add a comments or a form. So we'll do contact form 7 real quickly. I know we're getting real close to time here, and I want to save some time for questions, or we'll have some time for questions here in a second. I've got three more to show you real quick. And then the plugin section, we want to install contact form 7. I'm not sure exactly why it's called contact form 7, but it is a contact form. So we can basically install this, and once it's activated, or once we activate it, then we can build our contact form. So we've got the ability right here. It adds a new menu item, and it's already got a contact form. Contact form 1 is already built in. So we'll go ahead and just add this. Again, this is I know I'm going a little quickly here, but I think you'll get the picture here. If we go to, we'll say this is a contact page. Okay, close enough. Contact page, and feel free to contact me. And then what we need to do is we'll publish this page, so that page is there. And then what we actually need is we need the ability to add that contact page. So I'm going to open up a new tab right here, and the easiest way to add a new contact form is you just take this short code right here. So you can just copy this, and you can paste this on your page that you still have open. So simple as that. I know that this is a little complex. Short codes basically are a way that programmers can give the ability to add something, add a feature or a form or some way to display data very, very quickly without knowing any code. And a short code looks just like this. So it'd be short code like so, and it's all based on it's 100% based on what the plugin does and how the plugin works. So if we go back over to our site, we can do a refresh. We can look at the contact page, and this one is built in, but we could change this if we wanted to. If we wanted to change our name, our email address, our subject, or a message, all of this will automatically, like once you build the form and you put the short code in, it will automatically display all those different things. And so that's what a contact page looks like. If they're required, you can tell that inside of contact form 7 as well. And just a little bit of how this user interface looks like. This is a little bit more manual, but if we wanted to add a new underneath message, maybe we wanted to add a telephone number. So we could go ahead and say that this is a required field, and we want to we can go ahead and do that. And so if we wanted to add that, you basically copy this code and you paste it over here. And if you wanted to kind of follow the styling of the other ones, you can just kind of copy. So it's basically, you could take this code just like this, and like this, and you can say your phone, and then we want to finish this with a P tag. So basically we're just copying what this looks like, kind of the same form factor, and then we can save this, and then if we go over to our contact page and do a refresh, the phone number will be right down below it. If we wanted to move it above, we would obviously paste that code. We would take this code from here, and we could cut it and paste it just using a keyboard shortcut there, and then we can save that and do a refresh, and that will have moved right up above. So the form itself isn't the easiest to use sometimes, but it does give you very quickly the ability to go in and add a form to your website. Last plugin that I want to show you real quick, and then I'll show you how to change themes, is a WordPress or a SEO plugin. So we want to install the WP, let's say SEO by Yoast. is the one that I like and recommend. And how this works is we'll install this and say OK, and then activate it. And once it's activated, then there's a whole slew of settings that you can go in and you can we can just get rid of that. There's a whole slew of settings inside the dashboard here that give us the ability. They've obviously put some pop-ups there so you can kind of work through it, but you have the ability to change what your site-wide title looks like on every page. You can say whether you want to connect your social accounts to it. You can do a lot of things. Again, just setting this up and using the default out-of-box settings is going to do wonders to your website. But basically what we can do then is we can say what our site name is. We can, if we wanted to say life is a project, we can put this there. And then on every Google page, it's going to say that underneath the title, it's going to say life is a project. I think the best way to show you this is to go over to a post. Let's add a new post really quickly here. And I'm going to say, we'll just call it Caesar Abate, and then we can again put some gibberish in there. And this is the little module that it adds. And so right now, this is the snippet preview that we get for this page. Like, this is what it's going to look like when somebody searches on Google. And so if you wanted to, you could go ahead and you could change the text down here to be something more specific. Maybe we want to have actually Caesar's name in there. And so we could just go through and look at all this stuff. Like, this is where you would customize it, the text to show up underneath a Google search result. And how that works is we can go in here and we can tag focus keywords if we wanted to. So if we wanted to tag Caesar, we could do that, and then it's going to show us. It's almost like a little game. You can go in and you can see with your article heading where the name Caesar appears. And so it's so powerful, and it's so there's so much that I could talk about this, but the big thing is just going in and looking at it. Looks like we've got it everywhere but in the content. So if I'm like, oh, I forgot to put Caesar's name here, I could type in Caesar there and I could click update, and then I can see that I've at least used my keyword Caesar in every place that I could. And so that's how the WordPress SEO by Yoast plugin is. You can go through and you can customize each and every page and post, or you can set it up as a default. Out of the box, the default is going to do wonderful things for you. Lastly, and then we can get to questions, I'm going to show you how to change your website from looking like this to looking like something else. So if we want to go over to the appearance section, and we can go to themes, and these show us the themes that are currently installed. So we have the 2012 theme, which we should have deleted earlier as getting rid of some of that default content. But then we can go to installed themes. And so if you want to look for a theme that's out there, these are free themes that you can look for. Maybe you're looking for something that's got red in it. It's flexible in width, and it has the holidays. So we can go and we can see if there's anything that matches that. And so maybe we'll go ahead and we'll install the Airmail plugin, or the Airmail theme. So we install it, and then we have the ability to do a live preview. So we can click here and we can see what our website would look like. And then we can activate it from there, or we could just go ahead and just click the activate button, and now our entire website is going to look completely different based on the settings of this skin, the Airmail per avion, or however you say that. So we can go back over here and do a refresh, and you can see that our entire website has changed. It looks completely different, and that's all just based on the theme or the skin that we're running on our website. So I know that I've went forever, and I've talked a lot and given you a kind of a really high level overview. Is there any questions that you may have? And Caesar, if you've got any, go ahead and read them off.
Yeah. Yes, thanks, Dustin. This is really helpful. And yeah, I know it was kind of fast. I was trying to keep up as well. But again, this is being recorded so people can go back and pause and do slow motion backwards and forwards, frame by frame, if they want to. But I have a question for Marla. And Marla, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she has a forum website, and she'd like for people to be able to use it like they do a LinkedIn group. So it's almost like a message board kind of website. And she's wondering if there is a way to do that with WordPress. And Marla, you can type in there if I got it right. And if you have any suggestions on how to achieve that.
Yeah, there are different ways to add forum functionality to a website or within a WordPress site. And so there are different ways. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think there's one called Simple Press. Simple, is that it? Let me see here.
But Buddy Press?
No, there's one. It's different. I've used it
Okay.
before. Not simple. Maybe it's one word. Maybe it's not called Simple Press. I would have to think a second. There, Buddy Press is more like a community forum. BB Press is like a forum, or Buddy Press is like a community, like almost like creating your own social network, like Facebook. So that one's
Hmm.
called Buddy Press. Then there's one called BB Press, which is more like and I don't know if you can install it through here. Um, BB Press is like a forum or a bulletin board feature. So we can go ahead and I can install this one just so you can see it. But we can activate that, and that gives the ability to, of course, we're gonna get some data here, and then that gives us the ability to add a forum and any topics, and we can manage replies and stuff like that. So that all can be done with a thing called um, BB Press. That would be probably my recommendation. BB Press is written by the folks who wrote, who are in charge of like creating WordPress software, and so you know that it's going to be probably the best thing that's out there. So that's what I'd recommend. It's called BB Press, and you can download it from the WordPress repository.
Okay. What does it change I'm sure it changes the look of the website, right? If you go back there and refresh, it's going to look completely different, you
I
think?
don't think. I think it's when you
Oh,
add that section, it's going to it would put in the forum like in this kind of gray area here.
like a
Um,
menu item
yeah,
called forum or
I
something?
believe
Okay.
so. Yeah. I don't.
Marla, I don't know if that helps, but I think I didn't know about this plugin. So, but this seems like you could create a forum inside of your blog in which people could start discussions and share pearls as you mentioned there, similarly to what you've seen on a LinkedIn group. So people would sign up to be a member, and then they could create a thread, and people could sign up as members as well and comment, and things like that. So
Yeah, so this is what it would look like once you've got it set up. It would kind of just run what inside of whatever theme that you're running, and you can go and you can create a new forum if you want to do a new topic and things like that. And then you can notify follow-ups via email. The one thing about forums is I don't know if there's any really good way to automatically receive notification when somebody else makes a post. So that's kind of just a limiting factor of a forum. You can go in, of course, and go and you can check and say, subscribe me to the first post. But then if you want more information, then you have to go and you have to subscribe to subsequent posts. But
mhm.
that's a forum thing.
Yeah, and Marla, just from my own experience with my website and also having a community around it, I found that it's sometimes it's more effective to be where people are instead of having people come and sign up for your new community. So, for example, I have a Google Plus community, and a lot of the people who are potential new members of PM for the Masses, they are already on Google Plus. So it's a lot easier for them to join that way. They don't have to create a new user account or password. And that way, when they comment, or when people comment on their threads, it gets automatically sent to their email address, and they can reply right from within Gmail. And so I kind of keep it separate in a way. I have my own website, and I think Dustin, you do that too. And then for all the social interactions and conversations, I have it elsewhere. So it could be a LinkedIn group, it could be a Google Plus group, it could be a Facebook page, and that's for me at least, it's what has been working. And you could install a plugin like this and turn your site um, into a new forum or group. But I think at least to get started, you could start with one of the already established platforms. I don't know what you think about that, Dustin, but
Exactly. That's my exact recommendation.
because in the end, if what you want to participate and create engagement and if you install a forum like that, now all of a sudden you become a you become a manager of this forum website, so if you want to change the look, or if something you don't like about it, now you're the developer. When you In my opinion, maybe your time would be better spent just engaging and creating conversations, so
And I found too, like I've taught different WordPress classes before with a special forum, and I've tried different forums, I've tried different solutions, and I don't know if it's the best one, but I like the ability that everyone gets every notification, like automatically, just because that way that really does engage that conversation. At least they need to get the first post of that. So like a Facebook group, if you sign up for a Facebook group and you have like a small private group, then anytime that somebody publishes a post, you get notification of that first post unless they turn those settings off. You don't, unless they turn off their Facebook settings. But then if you want to see subsequent posts, then you have to go in and actually comment, or you have to follow that post. But it's all about ease of ability. So like if you're also, like Caesar said, maybe Google Plus or Facebook, or whatever that platform is, if people are they're already using those platforms. So but so if you create your own forum, then it's like, oh well, they're not quite using, then they've got to sign into another place. And so you can do either and completely fine. You do what works well for you. But if you're looking for something, a forum type thing on your website, BB Press is the solution.
yeah, and she's asking also if she really liked the analytics part, and she was wondering if Google, a LinkedIn group would have that, and my answer is probably not. In terms of how many people landed on the LinkedIn group and things like that, that would be on your site. But one thing I do, Marla, is well, one of the cool things about WordPress is that it has all those plugins. So you can have a plugin, for example, that every time there's a new post by you, it shares to your Facebook page, or your LinkedIn group. You can do those things, and what I do when I'm on LinkedIn, let's say I want to create a new conversation piece there, a new thread, instead of just going to the LinkedIn group and starting a thread there, what I do is I start a post on my website, and then I share that as the started thread on LinkedIn. So when people open that thread, they're actually looking at a snippet from my website, so they can click there and go to my website, because that's ultimately, you want people to come to your home base, right? So and that way people can comment on the website, they can comment on the LinkedIn group, and that way you are at the same time you're creating a thread on LinkedIn, you're creating content on your site. So I don't think the LinkedIn groups would offer any analytics like this, but at least you can track on your own analytics. You can track how many people are coming to your website from LinkedIn, and I do that all the time. It's, how many people are landing on pmforthemasses.com because of the threads that I started on different LinkedIn groups.
Good question.
Yeah. Oh, she's asking about tags as well. Can we talk about tags a little bit?
Sure. So within WordPress posts, you have the ability to add categories and tags. And if we go here, I'm going to disable Buddy Press because it's giving me some warnings here. So we'll just go ahead and deactivate that. But inside of the posts, you have the ability to add tags and categories. So categories are basically, think of, and this is the best way for me to explain it. So think about like a recipe book. We would categorize things as desserts, breads, main dishes, entrees. It's kind of real broad. And then a tag would be like something along the lines, if we would go into the desserts, maybe we would say like pie or chocolate, or like you're tagging it so that you can easily find it later. And so like, say for example, on we can add a new category. Let's call it we'll call it pies. I don't know why I'm thinking about pies at 11 o'clock in the morning, but we will call it pies. And then we can tag this, and our tags can be like peanut butter, chocolate, whipped cream. We can tag it as whatever we want and as many tags as we want. And then it's going to associate all of the posts that have those exact same tags. We can easily find all of those things. So people can search, maybe if they're on this page, they're looking at it and they're like, oh, well, I wonder what else is in the same tag. So this is a line of code it's a problem with the theme, but this was posted in pies. So we could click on pies and it will show us all the archives that have pies in it. But if we click on tags like whipped cream, it will show us everything that's tagged with whipped cream. So it makes it easy for people to navigate around your site and find just really navigate and find other like items. So some people use tags all the time, some people don't use tags, and so it just really depends.
Mm-hmm. For example, I don't really use tags much, but I do use categories because there's on pmforthemasses.com, for example, there's two types of content that I post. One is a blog post and one is a podcast episode. And they're all, as far as WordPress is concerned, they're all posts, right? So Dustin can show you there how to create a new post. So every time I have a new podcast episode or a new blog post, I just click add new post. And then I put in the title and the body of the post, and then on the category side there on the right hand side I have two different boxes. One is called blog, the other one is called podcast. So I just select which one it is, right? And if you go to pmforthemasses.com, you will see that across the menu on the top there is a menu item called blog, and there is one called podcast. So basically, if you click podcast, it just shows you all the posts that had that box checked. Okay, basically they're all the podcast episodes. But if you click on blog, similarly, it's just going to show you all the posts that have the blog checkbox checked, which is a completely different set of content. So I find categories to be useful that way. Now the benefits too, they're kind of more advanced, but that's one of them. You can just have menu items right there associated with categories. And tags are from talking to Dustin and different other developers, tags are useful when you have thousands and thousands and thousands of content posts, and then it's another way for you to organize them. But in my case here, I just have, I don't know, less than 100 posts right now, which when you start categorizing too much, then all of a sudden you have more tags than you have posts, So so I would start with categories, and then once you get to to be like really, really huge, then you can start tagging things differently. What do you think, Dustin?
I agree with that statement as well.
Okay, good. And one more question from Marla. Can you go back into your blog and tag them later?
You can indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So say we go back to our post. Let's stay on this page and let's publish this one, just so we have that new post in there. And then if we go back to our all posts, we can see everything that's there. We can see that this one has tagged, this test post has not, and we can go in and we can click edit, and we can say that, oh, we want this to be a podcast. We don't want it to be uncategorized, and we want to call it, we want peanut butter. If we can just start searching, start typing, and then it will automatically file that for us, or automatically autocomplete for us. And now if we go back and take a look, we've got this one tagged as peanut butter and in podcast. I'm going to go and change this theme so we can see this without any issues. But yeah, you can go back, and so you can go and you can change those whenever you like. So if you have a website that's got 100 posts on it already, you can go back and you can manually change all of them. It's a little tedious, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Anything else?
Any more questions? All right. I just wanted to remind everyone too that Dustin is a podcaster as well, and if you're attending this, you probably listen to podcasts because that's probably how you found out about this. But Dustin has a great podcast on WordPress that I'm an avid listener, and he is great at answering questions. And I think you even like it when people call in with a question and leave a recording there, or send an MP3 with a question. And if you do that, he will even play it on the show and answer to you live on the show there. And he's also available for contracting and hiring for doing different things. I know that I've called you with emergencies before, and you you helped me out when my sites were broken, and you're always available to help. And I really recommend, like, if you have anything to do with WordPress at all, Dustin is like one-stop shop with the information. And also, if you're ready to hire someone to work with you, um, he is the man.
Well, thanks, Caesar. And I just like to point out, if you like webinars and you like the Friday morning webinars, I'm having one next Friday. 13 mistakes WordPress users make. If you're interested, you could go and just sign up right there on yourwebsiteengineer.com, and it's completely free. It's just like this one, and I've got 13 things that people, sometimes make the mistake of not doing or not doing properly when they're getting set up and they're starting to use WordPress. So lots of people are signed up and they're ready to go for that. But I think that's going to wrap up this thing this morning. Sorry for going a little bit long. I hope that you found value, even though we try to jam a lot of things in. I think that that's one of my biggest problems when it comes to creating content, is like I try to jam too much stuff in not enough time. But that's kind of, I just love giving so much value and so much free stuff away. So yourwebsiteengineer.com is where you can find me. You can find Caesar over at pmforthemasses.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today and or watching this video replay. And I'm sure you'll hear from Caesar again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.